यदि ये चैतन्ये मुकुरैव भावातिरचिता तमं भान्ति द्रव्य व्ययजनलसंसान्तरहिता जगत्साक्षी मार्गा प्रकटन परो भानुरिवयो महावीर स्वामी नयन पथिगामी भवतु मे नयन पथिगामी भवतु नः। Honorable Swamiji, Mr. Pallab Mukherjee and other scholars and all the well-wishers of the Ramakrishna Mission. I am extremely happy and feel privileged to have the honor of the presenting a lecture on interfaith understanding for peace and prosperity before this august assembly of 150th birth celebration of Swami Vivekananda. My dear friends, today I would like to discuss the main principles of Jainism, which is very, very useful to peace and harmony and prosperity. Before the discussion, I would like to discuss you the history of Jainism in very small way. Jainism is one of the oldest living religions of the India. Anciently, Jainism used to be called Shraman Dharma. Antiquity of Jainism goes back to prehistoric period of Indian culture. We find references of Vrasya and Arhata in Rig Veda and Atharvaveda, the oldest text of the Indian literature. They were also known as Shramanas in Upanishadic period. We find mention of some Jain Tirthankaras such as Rishabdev, Ajitnath and Arishtnemi in them. It is a certain proof that Jainism in its oldest form as Rasta tradition was prevalent at the time of composition of Vedas. Hence, its antiquity goes back to prehistoric period. Secondly, in Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, some series of meditating yogis have been found which show that the tradition of performing meditation and yoga was much earlier in the Indian culture. In these early days, present Jainism was known as a Vrasya Dharma, Arhat Dharma and Nigant Dharma. Many evidences found also in the Vedic Puranas that our nation's name, Bharatvarsh, became from the first Jain Tirthankar, Rishabdev's eldest son, named Bharat. After Rishabdev, there were 23 Tirthankaras propounded the Jainism, and the last 24th Tirthankar, Lord Mahavira, spread the Jainism in all over the world. Lord Mahavira regarded the individual and his social responsibility as the key to the progress of both the individual and the society. The teachings of Lord Mahavira are as usual and timely as they were 2,600 years ago. He always advised his disciples to discover the truth after taking into account all aspects and giving them due weight. This broadens one's outlook and trains the mind to accommodate the feeling and the way of life of other faiths and communities. Lord Mahavira was a towering personality who has left a lasting impact in the form of his teaching for the spiritual advancement of the individual, protection and conservation of all forms of life, and rational, just, peaceful, and secular social order. Next one. And then next. Yes. Today, I would like to discuss only two main theories of Lord Mahavira, which is very necessary for world peace and prosperity, and that is Anekant and Ahimsa. And fortunately, my name is also depend upon this, according to Jainism. What is Anekant? My request, please try to understand this principle, because this is very useful for world peace. Lord Mahavira gave the theory of Anekantva, that is many-sidedness. Anekant encourages interpersonal and communal harmony by promoting tolerance in the community. The same principle of tolerance can be extended to intellectual, social, religious, and other fields of activity. Tolerance, as enunciated by Anekant, will end all intercaste strife and communal violence. Anekant is thus the pillar of religious and social harmony and the chief anchor of secularism. Anekant ensures peaceful coexistence of all shades of philosophical and religious opinions, past as well as their followers. They pointed to a new era of hope and promise for the masses delivering social equality, peace, empowerment of women, non-violence, tolerance, and social justice. The next. The doctrine of Anekant, a systematic formulation of Anekantva, is founded in Samant Bhadra's Aptamimamsa 3rd and 4th century AD. However, the doctrine is so assimilating that it has given rise to various interpretations. It will be interesting to see a few of them. The name Anekantva. And Ek plus An plus Va. That is not one-sided, not low. Hello. Can I start? The theory of Anekantva is very useful. The meaning of Anekantva, there is an Ekantva. That is not one-sided statement. That is many-sided exposition. It is a statement made after taking into account all possible angles of vision regarding any object or idea. In this sense, Anekantvad is a theory of many-sidedness or many-foldness of reality. And second explanation is this: Anekantvad means not categorically asserted philosophical position. In this sense, it starts from the philosophy of non-absolutism. In some other sense, it starts from the theory of manifoldness, which is different from the philosophy of indetermination or that of duality. And what is the correlation between Anekantvad and coexistence? The Anekantvad believes in coexistence. Anything or anybody exists must have their opposite. Yat sat pratipaksham. Without the opposite, naming is impossible, and so is characterization. The animate and the inanimate are two extremes, yet they coexist. The body is inanimate, the soul is animate. They coexist. The permanent and the impermanent, the similar and the dissimilar, the identical and the different, all these are mutually contradictory, yet they coexist. They coexist in an object. The permanent is not altogether separate from the impermanent, nor in the latter completely separate from the former. The principle of coexistence is as much practical as it is philosophical. Though the term system, individual, taste and viewpoint have different denotations, even implying inherent opposition, the principle of coexistence applies to them too. Democracy and dictatorship, capitalism and communism are ideologically different political systems, but even they are no exception to coexistence. You or me, instead of you or me, not you and me. This is possible. You and me. You or me, this is not possible for coexistence. In the instance of absolutism by which the problem gets compounded, the holiness of the world of religion has been destroyed by the view only those have the right to survive who follow my religion. All the rest should be asserted. The main strengths of religion are non-violence, friendliness, and fraternity. The absolutist view has changed non-violence into violence, friendliness into hostility, and fraternity into animosity. Coexistence implies tolerance and freedom of thought. Both tolerance and freedom of thought are meaningless if we try to enforce our life, ideas, lifestyle, and principles on others. Nature has infinity verity, which lends its splendor, beauty, its laws, all its charms and meaning, if all plants, trees, and flowers look alike. The combined principle of Satyam, Shivam, and Sundaram inheres in the principle of unity in diversity and diversity in unity. It is only the ever harmony which forms the basis of coexistence. What is the relation between Anekantvad and nonviolence? The world we live in is dualistic, compound of separateness and oneness. The latter is conceived, the former manifests itself clearly. Men differ from one another in several ways, like differences of beliefs and concepts, differences of ideas, differences of taste, differences of temperament, differences of emotions. The more intense the emotion, the more compulsive becomes false tenacity and obduracy based on one-sidedness. And that is main characteristic of violence. Violence is not confined to armament and war. Family quarrels, bitterness in human relations, racial, sectarian, and religious conflict, separatist thinking are forms of incipient violence, which ultimately lead to armament and war. Disarmament and banning of war are good principles, but we will have to first pay attention to the basic causes of violence. False tenacity pushes a nation into cruelty and opens the door to violence. To reduce false tenacity, Anekantwad provides an important alternative. Anekantwad and what is the solution of terrorism by the Anekantwad. Violence begets violence. Nobody can win lasting peace by use of force. The Chinese president, while visiting US president, US presented the book How to Win War Without Fighting by Lao Tse. In our own time, we have seen Mahatma Gandhi using ahimsa and anekant to win freedom for India. To end terrorism, we have to first become self-sufficient and confident, or have faith in our belief, so that we can defend ourselves in all situations, understand the viewpoints of all, and use education, dialogue to resolve differences using the technique of give and take. Ahimsa and anekant, existence of opposing forces, reconciliation will bring us closer to solving this problem. The dictionary meaning of tolerance exposes the negative aspects of acceptance. The next. In a dominant manner. If tolerance is taken to mean ability or capacity to tolerate, it will point to toleration out of compulsion, out of helplessness, or out of dire need of survival. For example, tolerating the bullies in the classroom, or undisciplined behavior, or even the notorious pupil in the society, it may even indicate the attitude of treating the other person with condemnation, or the attitude of superiority complex and treating others as inferior. Rich people tolerating poor people, scholars in the class tolerating the mediocre students, powerful nations tolerating weak and undeveloped countries, etc. How the doctrine of Anekantwad is based on the definition of reality as existence. Substance is the indication of existence. Existence is with origination, destruction and permanence, and substance is with attribute and mode. Already Lord Acharya Samanta Bhadra told in his book Atmamimamsa, Sat Dravya Lakshanam. Acharya Umaswami also told Sat Dravya Lakshanam. And what is the Sat? That they told Utpad Vyay Dhrav Yuktam Sat and Gun Paryay Dravyam. Thus, Anekantwad is a philosophy of intermixture and tolerance, better known as reconciliation to the existence of opposite attributes simultaneously, and presupposes balance and equitable thinking rather than from a position of strength or weakness. Thus, it would be wrong to equate Anekantwad with such negativity, because Anekantwad does not reflect negativity. It does not indicate the falsity or invalidity of any theory, but emphasizes the element of truth in every theory. Its focus is on pointing out the extent of acceptability of every view rather than bringing out the reasons of denial. And the reason for the emphasis on positivism is that every theory, according to Anekantwad, is only partial description, exposition of reality. Hence, it cannot be regarded as the view that holds the capacity to tolerate the other views, but rather it can correctly be described as that view which treats all other views, including itself, with equanimity, In holding such temper of equanimity, Anekantvad demands surrender of unique pride in one's own existence and supremacy, and tends to develop humility and sense of respect towards other perspectives. In the present circumstances of communal disturbance and religious tensions everywhere, Anekantvad can be applied as a paradigm to solve these battles. It can be convinced to the classes and masses that all religions are different pathways to the same goal, and that there is no room for superiority or inferiority of any religion. All religious faiths are equally respectable. The theory can be applied to many spheres of life, which there are battles arising out of misunderstanding. And it can be well understood that it is the theory advocating equanimity among and respect towards all the possible alternatives, rather than the ability to tolerate similarly in our democratic form of government. Doctrine of Anekantvad is very important for both the ruling and opposition parties to accept existence of each as real and learn to live with each other in a logical and peaceful manner. Samantabhadra gave an excellent example to show application of Anekantvad to develop tolerance. The king wanted his crown of gold to be melted and made into bangles for princess. The prince became sad and the princess became happy, but the king was neither happy nor sad as he saw gold in both the situations. While the prince saw loss of crown and the princess gain of bangles. Thus, Anekantvad is a theory of tolerance in the broadest sense of terms. It's also told by the Swami Samantabhadracharya, Ghat Mauli Suvarnarthi, Nasho Pad Sthitishvayam, Shok Pramod Madhyastham, Jano Yati Sahit. The significant sutra of or aphorism of Anekantvad is balance. That man should not tilt in one direction. The scale of the balance should not be heavier on one side. Both the sides should be in balance. If one side represents the fifth, the other variable, then we should move ahead taking both into consideration. My next topic is for discussion is a non-violence. Theory of non-violence is a very important theory of Jainism, and I think the Jainism explains very deep theory of the non-violence. Next, the philosophy of non-violence is a living practice. More than refraining from violence, it is a deep reverence for all life. It starts by cultivating a genuine respect for oneself, one's consciousness or life force, and for each of its supportive elements, the body, mind, and emotions. We come to realize that our life force is precious and that we are here to respect and innate wisdom. It is a process of taking care of both our inner being and the material envelope in which it dwells. Like a mother nurturing the development of her child, we do what is helpful for our spiritual growth. When a well-known Sanskrit scholar, Jain Acharya Samantabhadra, announces that in this world, ahimsa of living being is equivalent to Brahma, the metaphysical reality, he is propounding ahimsa as the highest social value. He told, ahimsa bhutanam jagati viditam brahma paramam. Next, coexistence and the parasparugraho jivana. Everybody should know the famous Jain emblem, which contains at its base of following sutras, parasparugraho jivana. This is an important aphorism from the first Sanskrit book in the Jain tradition called the Swartha Sutra by Acharya Umaswami. It means that living beings are mutually related through favor and obligation, that is beneficence. The industrialist pays wages to the laborer and the latter cut in a manner likely to benefit the former and safeguard his interest. Next. Likewise, the teacher imparts knowledge to the pupil and makes him go through a separate ceremony. The latter molds himself according to the teacher and respectfully obeys his direction. Both are examples of mutual beneficence. Life's formula is not conflict, for conflict denotes helplessness and is not an independent trait. On the other hand, mutual beneficence is an independent trait. While treating life as conflict compels man to take the course of violence, mutual beneficence takes him on the road to non-violence. In Jainism, non-violence is not limited to refraining from mental, verbal and physical injury to human beings only. It encompasses abstaining from injury to all living beings, all animals and all plants. The ancient Jain sculpture Acharan Sutra presents a highly sophisticated discussion on non-violence. It states that one should not cause injury to any living being, including the tiniest creature and plant. All life depends on nature of survival. Thus, disturbing the ecological balance by wasting natural resources and polluting water and air also constitutes violence. In Acharan, he says, Sabbe Pana Nahantavva, Na Ajjavetavva, Na Parijhetavva, Na Paritayavva, Na Uddeyavva. Lord Mahavira made a simple yet profound statement based on the absorption of the non-violence into the fabric of his consciousness. He realized all of life is just like me. I want to live, so do all souls, all living beings. The instinct of self-preservation is universal. Every animate being clings to life and fears death. Each of us wants to be free from pain. So let me carry out all my activities with great care, not to be harmful to any living being like me. Sabbe jiva vikshanti, जीवियुम न मरित्युम, तमहा पाड़वहम घोरम, निघंता वज्जयंत्यम. This verse is in Prakrit language. You already know that the Lord Mahavira told in Prakrit language, not in Sanskrit language, and this is the original text. Short through it is, our time on this planet can be valuable and meaningful. If we choose to discover and live by the laws of life, war, vulturing, and all kinds of killing are abomination, authentical to life. When we live in the cocoon of positiveness, restment, or cold-hearted intellect, we support whether we mean to or not. The machine of power and domination of billions of other human and non-human beings who, like us, are equally eager to grow, fulfill their needs, and bring their needs to fruition. Next. What we need is a new dimension of things, a new director for living. We need a perceived all planetary life as one interdependent family from which no living being is excluded. We need to experience the plight and pain of all living beings as if it were our own. Indeed, the pain of others is our own, for the consequences of neglect and apathy cannot be long in coming our way. It would be relevant to quote the following excerpt in Prakrit language, Jab sena piyam dukkham, janiye emev sab jivaram, sabbayar movyasto, asto gamme punu sudayam. And another one is, Tumansi naam satcheva, jam hantavam timannati, Tumansi naam satcheva, jam ajjavayam timannati. Jain literature explains not only general way of life with ahimsa, but spiritual too. The deep theory of Lord Mahavira's spiritual non-violence has been also explained in this text, and this is the original theory of ahimsa as explained by Lord Mahavira. Next, And what is the relation between the non-violence and world peace? We live in a strange universe of continuous giving. Everywhere the sun is radiating its warmth and light. The very trace of light is carried to us upon the air and wind. Clouds and oceans follow the same law to shower us their precious water. Earth cultivates all manner of vegetation from which grain and fruit sprout forth. Our bodies are made of vegetation from which grain and fruit sprout. Our bodies are made of all these gifts. What are we giving back to this all-providing universe? Where there is abundance in our life, are we sharing it or taking more than our share? Though we are receiving of its bounty, are we allowing ignorance, fear, apathy, or ego to blind us to the generous hurt on our earth? Are we saturating the atmosphere, the sea, and with deadly waste pollution? How long will Mother Nature continue to bear with this ingratitude of ours? When blood soaks the land, we label it enemy blood or friend blood, letting up or letting loose our emotions accordingly. In the same way, when the throats of helpless creatures are cut, human mind categorized, rationalized, and explained, cutting hurt off from natural compassion. Where has our human capacity for feeling and empathy gone? Today, we have conquered distance. We are no longer living as isolated individuals. Our activities and thinking now encompass not only the country we belong to, but the whole world. This is an important development. However, let us not forget the truth that the center of all consciousness lies within the individual, no matter whether it is individual consciousness or collective consciousness. Therefore, the dream of world peace cannot be realized without refining the individual consciousness. The individual is relegated to the secondary position as soon as peace becomes an organizational matter or a matter related to management. Now, what characterizes good organization or management in complete control? But such control is subversive of peace. Therefore, soon or later, one will have awakened social consciousness in individuals to ensure world peace. This social consciousness is, in traditional terms, consciousness of equality. In our natural state, our soul is nothing but love, energy, peace, and bliss. Gradually, we glide to speak of realization and joy, explaining, I am life, I am living conscious energy, I feel my life force moving in all my limbs and awakening all my cells with awareness. And before buying or using any product, we ask, by my action, am I causing any living being to thrive in pain, directly or indirectly? Am I causing a life to be lost? In this way, the trail of life becomes instrumental for our growth, and we come closer to our goal, and that is self-realization. As we tune an instrument using the right key for better results, we must tune ourselves in right direction all night. Next, by minimizing attachment, violence, and sadistic approach, we enjoy life with a light-hearted, enjoying calm of mind. Thank you very much. You have listened my lecture very carefully. Thank you to all of you. And on the subject of non-violence, I have written this book, Ahimsa Darshan Ek Anuchintan, in Hindi, and I would like to present this book for Swami.
much, Dr. Jain. Now this is an announcement for lunch break. It is on time, just 12:30 plus, and according